Welcome everyone to Create with Louise. This is Louise here with another card video for you. Welcome also to all my new subscribers. Thank you so much for taking the time to spend some time with me. Okay, so let's get started. Today we're going to use this shell collecting stamp set from Stampin' Up. Now you'll see here that it looks like that it's got dies. It doesn't have dies. What it does mean is that you can use the reverse side to shade in your image. But we'll do that later on in the video, but we'll do some other techniques. We'll start with Emboss Resist, which is not a new technique, but I do enjoy it. I'll bring in an all-purpose mat just so that keep my surface clean. I have already got my blocks, my stamps on a block in a random fashion here. I'm using some anti-static powder to go over the top. That helps to prevent the flyaway powder sticking where we don't want it. And I use that little bulldog clip because I don't really like the powder feel on my fingers. Some Versamark ink. Generous amount of ink, and I'm going to start off the edge like that. Now you can't really see where the Versamark is, so that I can do the rest of it, I will heat emboss this section first. And I'll just heat up my heat tool. It doesn't quite reach all the way in, so I'm just going to move it off screen. Well, we might be able to just get it there. And hopefully you'll be able to see it changing nice and glossy white. Okay, so now that makes it a little easier to see where we're going to do the next stamp. So let's move it around. I'll do one there. I can still see quite easily. You probably can't see so much on camera, but I can see. But so I've got somewhere to hold on to. I'm going to just do this section here. Now this blue tray is actually a bead tray, if anyone's wondering. The magic of heat embossing. And when your heat tool is heated up nicely, it goes a lot quicker. My block, just off to the side, I couldn't see it. And I'm just going to fill in some gaps just off the edge. Okay, so that's our panel, and that measures, this is a 3 by 3 square. So now we're going to do some ink blending. I'm going to use Balmy Blue, Lemon Lime Twist, and Pool Party. So I'm going to start with this bright, lovely bright green. I'm just going to tap off to the side, and I'm just going to do in 3 spots. And I'm going to start out lightly and then bring in a bit more colour. We can add colour, but we can't take the colour away. Okay, so that's 3, and then we'll do this Pool Party. Blend between into the colours that we already have. That sort of then gives you another colour there, you know, a bit more green there. Ooh. Okay. So you just continue blending into the depth of colour that you desire. And lastly, some Balmy Blue. Remember to take ink from around the edges as well. Been using this Balmy Blue a lot. I think I need to get a re-inker. It's a great colour for scenes and doing sky. I'm just tapping off so I don't get a harsh blob. And I recently cleaned this brush, so that's probably why there's not as much ink in the brush. So blend between, get them trying to get rid of any harsh lines. There we go, but I'm happy with that. Maybe a little bit more colour there. Okay, and then we just need paper towel. I've just got a serviette here because that's what I have here. And then we're just going to take the ink off the top of the embossed piece here. There's not much comes off, but it brightens that up. I love the colours. Really do like the colours. Okay, so I'll bring in a card that I have completed, and this piece here is Night of Navy, and I have used the Soft Waves embossing folder, and that's a 3D embossing folder. Then here is the Country Woods paper, DSP, and that measures 5.5 inches by 2.25 inches. And in the background, this linen type paper that is from Woven Textures. Now all of these I will put down in the description box below. They're all still available. This sentiment is from the Banner Sayings, and it has a punch, which I don't have right next to me, but that's how I got that shape, and some linen thread, and these little gems are iridescent foil gems. Before I move on to the next technique, here's another card in the same style using the embossed resist, but the colours I've used are Petal Pink, Calypso Coral and Crumb Cake. This is the Country Woods Designer Series paper in this section here, and the linen paper, but you can see the difference here is that I have done some edge distressing with some ink with Crumb Cake around the edge to just give it a little bit more worn look than this one. I just like the nice clear version on that. And then this is braided trim, I think it's called, but it's in the Petal Pink colour. And these are Pearls of Beauty dots. They're gorgeous. They come in this Calypso Coral colour, Crumb Cake and white. So the next technique, I'm going to bring in a spongy surface. I've got some Crumb Cake cardstock that measures 3 5/8 of an inch along here and 4 7/8 of an inch here. And we're going to use the same selection of stamps. I'll just clean these off before I use another, because I'm just going to use ink this time. Just dry them off. We'll use Crumb Cake ink. So I'm using two-tone cardstock, so that's the lighter side, but I'm using the true side here. So we are just going to do the whole piece and make our own pattern paper. I'm just going to rotate the stamp as I'm going around so that it looks natural. I think I'll go back this way because I can fill in this little bit here later. Okay. And you just look through your block and see where there's a little spot there, then you can fill that in. And then this one here. And I'm not going to worry about this little spot here because I plan to put a sentiment here. So next, what we're going to do is use our scissors and distress the edge. So you keep them closed, your scissors, because you don't want to blunt your sharp edges. And so you can see that you're getting, or you can use a distressing tool. But I always have my scissors on hand, so it just seems to be the obvious choice to use my scissors. And this is the beauty of the two-tone cardstock is that the white is now showing through on this distressing. Okay, so you're making your own pattern paper. And you were too with the embossed resist, you're making your own pattern paper, but there was a bit more time in that. So the next thing I wanted to show you, I mentioned it earlier, is that these stamps can be used stamped one way and then turned over to the flat side, the back side of the stamp, to shade in your image. So I've got Calypso Coral, and then I've turned this over, so this is the flat side, and what I'm going to do is stamp off once, stamp off again, and then I'm going to look over the top of my image, press down, and there I've got a shaded in image. Now I did stamped off twice because Calypso Coral was quite a deep colour. So I'll show you what I have made. I'll move this out of the way. And this is what I've made with this. So in the background here I have from the same Country Woods Designer Series paper, which I love, use it so much. I've used that and I've inked around the edges, putting a little bit more colour into the corners, giving it a vignette look. Then I've got Early Espresso, and that measures 5 inches by 3 3/4. Then I've used now this, so you can see here this shading of the shell. This circle is from the, it just escapes me right now, not sure why. Used again the braided trim, and these pearls are beauty. Now this sentiment is from the virtual card retreat that was held a couple of days ago, so that's not available unless you purchase the card retreat. But it was sitting on my desk and it was the right size. Then I've made another one in these other colours. This is the Country Woods again. In the background here, behind here, I've got the Night of Navy. I've used Crumb Cake, and I've done a little sponging in there just to highlight that sentiment. So let's bring in what I've made. From the shell collecting stamp set. So I hope you've enjoyed that today, and I hope that you have a great week, and I will see you in my next video. Bye for now.